Hey, it's Dr. A. I want to do one of my quick videos about a newsletter that came out not long ago. It was a very popular newsletter, and I just want to talk through some of the big content. If you are interested in the topic as we discuss it here in the short video, you can either go down below to the description box and there'll be a link to the newsletter, or you can go to dranow.com, dranow.com. Go to the newsletter tab and you'll find the newsletter in there as well. But this particular one is on endocrine disrupting chemicals. What in the world is that? Well, it's a review of a research review that was written by the Endocrine Society. And so endocrine is about hormones, so endocrine disruption is about hormone disruption. In this one, they also included some cardiovascular disruption as well, which is part hormonal and part not. But when it comes to chemicals disrupting things, how and why would they do that? And why is the endocrine society, the endocrine people, why are they concerned about it? Well, the reason is that there is an exponential amount more chemicals in the environment and in the world than there were 50 or 100 years ago. Humans generally are getting more chronically ill over time. And what we know from research, which they bring out very well in the research paper, and I try and summarize for you so you don't have to slog through the whole thing, but what they bring out in there is that the more that we find out about some of the chemicals in our environment that we're exposed to, the more we see that they can throw off our reproductive hormones, our thyroid hormone, our blood sugar control hormones, our stress hormones, our neurochemistry, and as I said, cardiovascular effects as well. And so there's concern that we kind of, we thought, association-wise in the research long time ago, this is probably true. And early on, they saw that things like petrochemicals and other things had, some very bad potential damage. And then there's chemicals that have been, outlawed in certain countries and all of that. But what their point is there is, well, those are the obvious cases, but people are obviously still sick and there's still trouble. What else do we know? And they bring up a lot of things that are still available in the environment. Now, some are not, some are outlawed, and some are, depending on what country you're in. So an endocrine disruptor as a chemical is literally something that has a number of ways into messing with your hormonal control, so to speak. It might, at the source, at the gland, throw off the actual production of the hormone. That's not so good. It might alter the transport of the hormone through your blood to your tissues. It might mess with the binding site where the hormone is supposed to go on your cells. And it may do a number of other things. And that literally disrupts what the hormone is supposed to do. And in some cases, you actually have normal production of hormones and abnormal action of the hormones. So, for example, you have people with symptoms of a hormone deficiency and actually have plenty of the hormone in their blood. In many cases, if you go and investigate this, you can find that that person has some level of toxicity that is interrupting the system. Now, they get into some basic ways of dealing with it. There's a lot of hygienic things like avoidance, not using products that have a lot of these chemicals in it. They go into that at depth, and I try and summarize it. And as with all my newsletters, I often I will base them around sort of a landmark study or a group of papers or something. And so I'll link to those if you want to go and read the source documents. So there's always references and resources there. But I do try and, kind of cut through all of the doctorese and the science talk and just get right to the point. Now, I give some, observations I have clinically. I give some things that, we might want to consider doing about all this. But they actually get into a lot of strategies for the future. Now, it is a little bit depressing to read the EDC reports because each time they come out, they get a little bit worse. This is not something where, if you go back, so every few years they put a new one out. Um, if you go back, 2, 3, 4 reports and read forward, it's not a better story each time they come out. So we're in a more toxic world. You can't avoid all toxins, but it is important to start to understand why these things affect people the way they do and how they create chronic illness at the very least. So if you're interested in endocrine disrupting chemicals, but also, as I said, there's some neurological and cardiovascular things in there, unfortunately. Uh, Take a look at the newsletter. It's the Endocrine Disrupting Chemicals newsletter, aptly named. And you can either go direct to the website at dranow.dranow.com, or you can go to the description box below, and the link will be in the description box to go right to the newsletter, where, as I say, there's a lot more detail. All the references are there, and resources that you can look at for yourself should you desire. Thank you so much. Thanks for all the like, share, subscribe, notifications you guys are doing. Thank you so much for the comments, questions, and I do try and get through those and answer the questions as they come up, or put them on my list of things to answer. So thank you again, and I'll see you all on the next one.